Hey runners, it's George here with a last minute question and answer session for this weekend's Reading Half Marathon. It's Thursday and that means there's literally 3 days to go until well, 2 more sleeps and then you wake up in the morning and it's race day. All that effort, all that training you've been putting in. It's absolutely perfectly normal to have questions, to not be completely sure about everything, even if you have done half marathons or races in the past. And if this isn't your first rodeo, you still probably have nerves. It'll be unusual if you didn't, because if you put a lot of effort into training for something and then the day comes when it's time to test yourself, which ultimately is what the Reading Half Marathon, any half marathon, is all about, then there's which way is it going to go, you just don't know. But that's the excitement of it. That's what I kind of love about this sort of ththing. But if you do have questions, and I already have a few that have been sent in already, if you have any other questions though, please feel free to ask them on the in the comments. The Facebook page, I decided to record this as a live stream as well, just because, well, hey, why not? I'm going to be doing it anyway. Might as well take the opportunity and ask and answer any other questions that you have that just pop into your mind as I'm going through. So I'm just going to dive right in. If you are listening in, okay, actually, if you're listening in, can you just do me a favor? Can you just say hello? Tell me where you're listening in from, just so I know that you can actually hear me. Still kind of a sound check there. So if you just comment on the post and let me know if you can hear me or not, and ideally see me as well, that'd be helpful. Then we are good to go. So a few of you are on the call live, which is awesome, and hopefully a few more will be able to tune in to the recording. Okay, we're good to go. Right, I am going to start off with the questions that are being sent in. Don't forget, if you're listening live, post them as comments rather than through the form that I sent you previously. The first question is from Tom Robinson. He asks, I signed up in the pink zone, but hoping to be quicker. Should I attempt to infiltrate a faster zone, or will I get into trouble or mess up timing? You won't mess up the timing because it's all done to chip time, but you won't be allowed in. Your number has a color on and you'll stick out like a sore thumb. You will get pulled back by the marshals. You won't get disqualified, but it's just not worth it. There's no point really in trying to get into a faster time zone. And this goes for anybody who's thinking about kind of running faster. It doesn't matter. You will maybe get to the front of your time zone, because there is I think about a minute's gap, half a minute to a minute's gap between the zones going off. Okay, you'll get pulled forwards and then the next zone will go. So if you're at the front, then it doesn't matter. You'll have a clear run ahead of you and you're running to chip time. So it doesn't matter when the gun goes. You might have half an hour to wait. If you're right at the back in the, is it the pink zone at the back? I can't remember now. Right at the very back, then you still get the same chip time as would compared to if you start at the front. So there's no real benefits. You're never gonna get to the very front where the elites are. It doesn't matter where you start. So don't worry about trying to push forward. It's not worth kind of that risk and that extra nervous feeling of, I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing. It won't mess up your timing. I would just stand where you can. Equally, if you are planning on running slower, you can move back, and it's a good idea to do that. You can move back a zone or towards the back of a zone, and it's always better to do that than to be too far forward. If you've kind of been a bit optimistic with your time when you put it down, then for goodness sake, move back, because it's so much more enjoyable an experience if you're the runner who's overtaking the other runners towards the end, then rather than kind of having people pushing past you. Now, you see that all the time in Reading. It happens in every race, but Reading, particularly because I've done it so many times now, you start off and then within a mile, you're passing people who are walking. Now, I start off at the 130 pace, 125 pace. I shouldn't be passing walkers in the first mile. It just shouldn't be happening. Start further back, because then you know that you're going to be with other people who are around the same sort of speed. You won't have people bustling past you. It must be infuriating having kind of been knocked around by herds of other runners, kind of getting frustrated that you're in their way. Always worthwhile starting further back, then you can enjoy the event. And hey, you'll be the one who's overtaking other runners who are slowing down towards the end. And it's better, as I said, to be overtaking than to be being overtaken. So especially if this is your first half marathon, be conservative, start further back, and then have a cracking race. Next up, we got Magda. She asks, it's going to be my first half marathon. I've tried to research what to eat for breakfast on race day. Difficult to find a simple answer. What's your recommendation? A superb question, Magda. Thanks for asking that. It is the reason there's no simple answers, because there is no simple answer, is whatever works for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that right back at you and anybody else who has a similar question. And it is a really common one. I did do a video actually in the group on the Facebook group. I realize you're not on Facebook, but I did a video recently about nutrition for the half marathon and kind of what to eat for breakfast, what to eat the night before, and so on. I'll circulate that as well when I put the email out with the link for this. But essentially, it's whatever you normally eat. So if you normally have porridge for breakfast, then have porridge for breakfast. If you normally have scrambled egg and bacon for breakfast, then have scrambled egg and breakfast for bacon for breakfast. Whatever you would normally eat before a long run, that's the best thing to eat on the race day. You don't want to do anything different. As you said, this is your first half marathon. You don't want to do anything that's going to be potentially hazardous to your or risky to your completion. It's just not worth the risk. It really isn't. I'll dig out that link for you though, and you can take a look at that. Hopefully that'll give you a bit more of an answer as well. But that's pretty much it. Just do what you would normally do. Sarah Evans asks, I get to 7 or 8 miles and my legs and energy fades quickly. I've not tried any energy stuff. Would it be useful? And when is it best to take during the race? Halfway, I'm aiming to take 2.5 hours, which is my current pace. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, well, Sarah, again, like I said to Mag today, you don't want to do anything different on a day. So yes, possibly taking on some kind of sports nutrition product, whether that's a classic high sugar energy gel. I actually did a really good webinar with a friend of mine, Warren Pohl, last night in the on the Wagon Group. The reason I didn't invite you guys to take part in that is because I didn't want to I don't want anybody to think about changing their nutrition strategies at this stage. So whatever you're doing now, that's kind of what you've got to stick with. If you haven't done a half marathon before, or even if you have, if you've never used energy gel products before and you start taking them on a day, there's a risk, whether it's a high chance or not, I don't know, but there's a risk of it giving you gastrointestinal issues, tummy upsets, needing to stop to go to the toilet, things you'd rather not have to do or think about on a half marathon on a day like this. So it takes a bit of practice, a bit of getting used to it. And the time to practice that is during your long runs. It does sound to me like if your energy is fading, you might benefit from taking something on. 2.5 hours, if you're running for an hour, hour and a quarter or so, a couple of hours, you're starting to find that that's the point where it starts to fade, then yes, you probably would benefit from something. But the race isn't the time to practice that, unless you're ready to take that risk, in which case just understand that there is a risk that there's going to be some kind of fallout from that. Might not be, might be absolutely fine. Plenty of runners are, but there's a risk. Okay, next question. Ben Reed asks, a week out, my hamstring is sore and knee hurts when bending. So I haven't run for over a week now. First half marathon, don't really want to defer. What would I recommend? The current plan is to do nothing till the date and just hope I can get around. No, that's a pretty safe bet, Ben, to just to rest it basically. If you haven't seen a physio already, I would recommend that. It might be something that they can help with. At this late stage, you might be looking at some taping, some strapping. KT tape is awesome if you haven't used that stuff. It got me out of a real jam in the last couple of years when I've used it, and I've had Achilles problems where I've literally been unable to put weight on my foot because my Achilles has been so inflamed and so sore. I then taped it up and I run another marathon on that day. So it really is good stuff. It's not a fix, it's something that will help get you through it and gives you some support, but that's worth checking out. kttapeuk.co.uk. They're awesome products. You can probably pick it up from Boots as well. It might be a bit late in the day to order it online, but if you go to Boots, get the stuff, go back to their website, and you can look at videos on their website. Shows you exactly how to use it for your hamstring. So the knee, the hamstring, probably related there. You know, it's a taper time. The time now to drop down your volume of training anyway. So don't sweat it. Hopefully you'll get to the start line. I understand you don't want to defer it, so you probably don't have to. So 2 things: see a physio if you have that opportunity. Obviously there's a cost involved in that. Get some tape. Have a look at the videos on the KT Tape website. Tape yourself up and just go out there and keep your fingers crossed that things hold together. Okay. Maria asked the question, did Reading half 2 years ago, just before running the Manchester Marathon. A fabulous race, got a PB. Yay. I want to run it this year and try to beat that time, but not confident that I have the speed for the full time and distance. Okay, would using a pacer help? All right, this gets a really kind of interesting question here. Would a pacer help? I'm worried that if I start running with them and can't keep up, I will get disillusioned. What should I do? This kind of opens up a bigger question, Maria, which is something that's probably relevant to a lot of people, which is that this is very much about confidence. It's about having that mindset of of being able to do this. And as you said, kind of if you start off with a pacer and then you have to step back, that's not in the game plan. And all of a sudden you start going, oh my goodness, I'm not going to finish it, or I'm going to be running slower, and all I want to do is run faster. And you start running these thoughts through your mind, then that can really ruin your race and throw you. And I've known people who've quit running, in the middle of a race. They've just pulled out, not been injured, but they just realized they're not going to do what they wanted to do. Instead of going along and enjoying it, finishing it, they've stopped. And you really don't want that to happen, because hey, you're still going to get back to your stuff, right? So you've got to walk back somehow. So you don't want that to happen. You want to enjoy the experience. So what I recommend doing is, yes, start with a pacer. If you haven't got the speed in your legs, then it doesn't matter how much a pacer sticks to the pace and motivates you. If it's not there, it's not there. They can help drag you along a little bit, but there's only going to be a limit with what they can do. If you start with a pacer and you have to pull back a little bit, then don't see that as a failure. See that as just being flexible with your strategy on the day. That's the most important thing, that you feel like, hey, this could happen. You're going to be flexible enough. You're confident enough to make those judgment calls there and then on the day, depending on what the situation calls for. That's an absolute key thing. It's about confidence. It's about mindset. So, great that you've asked that question, because hopefully you've sort of had a little think about that since you wrote it. I know writing these things out can be sort of quite a cathartic experience and can really give you a little bit of clarity on what the real issue is. You said, what should I do? Well, do what you think is the best thing to do. There is no one strategy. You need to be flexible enough to alter your strategy depending on what happens on the day. Okay, so thanks for asking that question and giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit more about that big subject. Debbie asked the question: planning to walk from the Holiday Inn to Medeski, is that a bit mad? Depends really on kind of what, how fast you walk. It's only a mile and a half, couple of miles tops, I think, about a mile and a half. It's not too bad. And what time should you aim to get there? It says the village opens at 7 o'clock. Don't want to wait around unnecessarily building up the nerves. No, I agree with that. If you're walking in there, take your time, a nice leisurely walk. It'll kind of get things going. There'll be lots of other people around. Probably if you're staying at the Holiday Inn, I have stayed there before, the night before the running half marathon. It's a real buzz. There's a lot of people staying there actually for the race. So you won't be the only one. And just start walking out. I'd probably aim to get there for sort of no earlier than 7:30. My paces and warm-up crews, we're going to get there 7:30 because we have to, because the roads close at 8 and we want to make sure that we're there plenty of time, because we'll be at the 100 long water area. But to get to the stadium, you don't really have to be there. I think if you can get there for 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, then that's going to give you plenty of time to kind of do what you need to do, soak up some of the atmosphere, but without feeling like you've got to hang around and let those nerves take effect. So yeah, I agree with your point there. You don't want to be there for 7 and wait unnecessarily, building up the nerves. So get there for about 9, get down to the start area for sort of 9:20, 9:30, and then you're ready to rock and roll with the warm-up at 9:45. Okay, next up, Harriet asks, there's only a few more of these, and some of them are more administrative questions, which I'm going to kind of palm off to the organisers, but I'll cover them anyway. Harriet asks, once the race is over, what next? Great to see you're thinking about the future, Harriet. It's not all about Reading. Reading's a big race. It's a great event, but there's a life beyond Reading as well. So the question, to keep my current fitness level up, do I build in an interval, hill, long run a week? Next for me will be the Royal Berks 10K, so something to aim for. I've thoroughly enjoyed my training. Thank you, George, for all the support and advice. No problem, Harriet. Glad to be here for you. Well, I'll be there at the Royal Berks 10K as well. So I am the training partner with that event too. I'll be there doing the warm-up and the pacemaking there too, so I'll probably see you twice. I would suggest, we've got that's in May, sort of middle of May. That's only sort of 5 weeks afterwards, 5-6 weeks. So I've got a 10K training program, the I-10 project, which is 10 weeks long. You'll have awesome endurance, so you could technically jump into that and use that to kind of give you a bit more structure. It does do exactly that: hills, intervals, lots of speed work. Not so much with the long run. You don't really need to work on the long run for 10K because you've got half marathon endurance in you already. But yeah, again, to expand this question out to something a little bit bigger, more relevant to more people, is think about what's happening next. You don't want to get to the end of running and think, right, that's it, because you'll end up stopping running for a little while and just take a little bit of a break, and then it's quite hard to get back into it. Whereas if you have a plan in mind, like it's a rolling goal, you have Reading, but then you're thinking about the next goal. What's next? Is it a 10K to get some speed? Is it a full marathon? Is it another half marathon later on in the year? What's the plan? Give yourself that time off if you need it or want it, and then get back into training. But have that plan, otherwise it's very easy to fall into the trap of stopping for a little while, giving yourself the permission to stop and to rest, and then find it hard to get back into it because you haven't got that goal in mind post-event, post-running. So again, thanks for that question there. Charlotte asks, how can I listen to music on the day? All you do is you run along and you just use your ears and you listen. Seriously, Charlotte, there's loads of bands. There's an incredible steel drum band under the bridge as you go around under the IDR into the town centre. There are bands along the way. Sure, there's not going to be music the whole way around, but the atmosphere in Reading is electric right the way around. It's the only half marathon I've done where it feels that kind of energy. Very similar to the London Marathon. If anybody's done London, it's just noise the whole way around. It's not quite like that in Reading, but it's not far off it. They really do come out in force, the residents of Reading, to support the race. It's incredibly well supported. And if you plug into music, then you kind of lose a little bit of that. And the official line is, you're not allowed to listen to music. You're not allowed to have headphones in because it contravenes the insurance terms and conditions of the event. So you're not allowed to have headphones in, and you can be disqualified. You could be pulled out of the event, and it's just not worth the risk. So the answer is listen to the music that's around. This is for anybody. I know a lot of people train with music and find it really hard to run without. But it's so worthwhile not having music on during the day. I know one of my pacers, Nigel, 140 pacer, he has like a little Bluetooth speaker, just a tiny little thing that kind of plays a bit of music as he's running along. It's only quiet, but kind of people who are around him will get to listen to that and have a bit of a kind of party as they run at 140 pace, if that's possible. So you could maybe look at doing something like that. That is another way of doing it. But if you haven't tried that in training, that's probably not worth risking trying it for the first time in a race scenario. Okay. Keith asks the question. Now, this is a technical, a logistical one, organizational one. This is definitely one for the organizers. Keith, if you're listening in, I would say this is about your wife wanting to see you at the finish line, but mobility problems. So yeah, you'll have to speak to her, to the organizers. I'm pretty sure there's no access at all, not because of the just there's no cars on site, but because there's runners around. So I'm pretty sure that that's going to be a problem to get her there for kind of later. It might be that she can sit around inside in the stadium and keeping warm. Now, in the actual Medeski Hotel, which is open to the public, you can go in there, sit in the foyer. So perhaps she can sit in there and keep warm. There's a coffee shop, a cafe, a bar area, get some food, and then come out to the stadium area at the end when it's time to support you over the finish line. So that would be my advice, but check with the actual organisers as to whether or not she'll be able to drive up. I suspect not, but you've got an option there. Karen, do you know how many minutes gap there will be between the zones? I don't. I could find that out, actually. I think it's a minute. I think it's either 30 seconds or a minute. It's not very long. So yeah, if you start in the orange zone, how feasible will it be to catch up the 205 pacer? It's feasible. You could do it. You know, it's a minute. If you can get at least within sight of the pacer, you don't have to be right with them. You just need to be able to kind of see them and keep in check, and then you can see how you're doing. Bear in mind, if you start a minute behind and you catch up with the 205 pacer, then actually you're going to run in 204 because they'll cross the line 205. You're a chip time minute behind, so you'll finish in 205. The orange zone starts with 2:10. It might be something in between. Well, the majority of people running their running half will be between the paces. I kind of calculated that one year that most the pacers really, they can only really help people who are behind them, because if you're in front of a pacer, you're not really going to be looking around the whole time and keeping a check. You might do, but unlikely. So most pacers will probably only help 100 to 200 people maximum. Now, we've got 15 pacers, so let's say we're going to help at an absolute maximum 3,000 people with the 15 pacers. 3,000. It's probably more like 2,000. There are 17,000 people running the running half marathon. So 15,000 of them aren't going to even see a pacemaker, let alone be helped by one. So, you know, there's a limit with what we can do. Even in London, when I paced in London before, you've got 4 pacemakers for each time slot. But even then, you're still touching the number of people. Hardly anybody in kind of relative terms are going to benefit from pacers. So if you can get with the pacer, great. But I always recommend everybody download one of the printable pace bands that I sent you. I'll send you another link if you just jumped onto the if you jump onto the website. runninghalfmarathontraining.co.uk, put your email address in. I will send you a printable pace band that you can print out, and you can check off your time as you cross each mile marker, so you know if you are on pace. It's always use the paces if you can, but make sure you're in control. You want to make sure that you're not leaving anything to chance. on the day. So next question, Arnie asks, annoyingly picked up a strain in my lower back upper glute on Sunday and I've had some discomfort in the last couple of days. Starting to get better, assuming I can walk pain-free. Would you suggest resting up completely till race day and trying my luck, or going for a gentle jog? You could go for a gentle jog on maybe Saturday, give it another day's rest, but a gentle jog on Saturday could do the trick. You will, yeah, so you say you train fairly hard for 12 weeks, want to run, you don't want to give myself longer term problems. You probably won't give yourself longer term problems. If it's a bit of a niggle, if it stops you from running, it'll stop you from running. And you'll have to pull out midway through. Just kind of be prepared for that on the day. I think that's the key thing, is to set your expectations, Arnie, and you know, be prepared to pull out if you need to. I've started races where that's been the case. I've kind of been, you know, sitting on the edge. Am I going to complete this race? You go out with your target timeline. You go out with your strategy and your pacing strategy. And then, you know, there's a risk there that you're not going to make it around. That, so be it. But go out on Saturday, give it a test, and that'll give you the confidence for how things are going to go down on Sunday. Okay, I'm now going to go over to the Facebook group. That's all the questions that were sent in advance. Thank you for them. I'm going to hop over to the live feed now. Isn't this fun? Actually, I'm looking at my my batteries just going down. I'm in the red now. So let's see. I wonder if there have been more questions for me to kind of get through here. Yeah, okay, so a couple of you listening in. All right, here we go. Sarah Jane Henderson asks, what time should I get to the stadium? Was planning on 9, but not sure if that's early enough. We'll need to put bag in and have a loose stop before heading to the pink zone. Yeah, I'd say 8:30. Things will be happening. I mean, the kids' race starts at 8:30 down at Green Park, so it will be busy at that time. If you can get there for 8:30, then great. And it's just no stress. What you don't want is to have stress on the day. You want to be able to get there and just focus on the running, not thinking, my goodness, I'm late, I've got to rush. Get there, plenty of time, but not too early, like 7 o'clock. You don't need to be there for 7. So 8:30, and then that gives you plenty of time to just have a look around, do what you need to do, drop your bag off, go to the loo, get yourself set up and ready for the run. The weather's looking good for the weekend. Weather's looking good. So hopefully you won't have to worry too much about lots and lots of extra layers and jackets and so on. Yeah, see how that goes. Okay, Chris Louise asks, do you have a pace wristband for 2:30? I don't think I do. I think it goes to 2. I think the ones I've got go to 2:25, Chris Louise. And there'll be plenty of runners who will be going to, you know, running at 2:35, 2:40, 2:45, 2:50. Have to stop it somewhere. But if you find my man Tom Harrison is the 2:30 pacer. He will look after you. Find him on the start line. They'll be very obvious where they are, and get yourself to him. Say hello, because you know, he will help you round. You won't need a pace band. You just stick with that guy and he'll help you. You know, make sure you start with him, slightly behind him, so you can kind of keep him in your sights. And if you say hello, then he will make sure that he's looking after you particularly. Claire says, hi George, where can we find details of which rows will be closed? My hubby is looking to drop me as close as possible to the stadium. I was hoping for Costco roundabout. I'm not sure you'll be able to get to the Costco roundabout. And actually you will up to 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, that road will be closed. I'm pretty sure that's the case. But I think if you go onto the Reading Half Marathon website, readinghalfmarathon.com, you should be able to find details of all the road closures. It's probably also on the BBC, the local BBC website. It's probably also on maybe the Chronicle Get Reading. I suspect it's probably on those channels as well. But yeah, I'm certain that it's 8 o'clock, but check. Ian Safe Hands Bedwell, one of my pacers, listening here from Holland. Hope you're going to be back in time. We've got one of our pacers today because in Sri Lanka at the moment as well, so I think he's going to be back in time as well. That's Stuart. So quick one, can you advise people how long before the start to get to the start line, assuming us pacers will be there around 30 minutes before the start? Yes, you want to be on the start line. It sounds really early, but actually the race starts at just after 10. You want to be on the start line, or maybe it's 10:15. I'm going to check that myself. It might be 10:15 this week because the other races that go off before it. But at least 30 minutes beforehand. Okay, the warm-up will be 15 minutes before the start, and the warm-up is 9 minutes long. So you'll still have a little bit of time after the warm-up before before the race actually starts. A few minutes, okay, not very long at all, just a few minutes. But you want to get there for half an hour because it will be really busy. You can't just rock up and find and get to the line. There'll be thousands, literally thousands. You've got 17,000 runners, and you've got maybe 1 or 2 supporters for each of this. So you're looking at 30,000 plus people in a fairly tight area there. So you've got to make sure that you leave yourself plenty of time. So give yourself a half an hour. You'll find that it's easy enough to find a spot there. 45 minutes if you can. Wear a kind of an old top if you want to. Something you can just discard as you run along. You know, as the start whistle goes, the gun goes, because then you can keep warm the start line. Don't have to worry about kind of precious clothing that you want to keep. Just discard it. People will come along, they'll pick that stuff up at the end of the race, and it's donated to charity, so you're actually doing a bit for charity as well. But yeah, great question there, Ian. Guys, it looks like we have reached the end of the questions. I hope you found that useful. I know that a few of you are listening in live, and hopefully a few of you will catch this on the recording. I'm going to put the video up later on to the email list. And I will be there on Sunday morning, bright and early. I'll be the pacemakers from 1:20 through to 2:30 in 5-minute increments. Will be helping you round the race. But like I said, use those pace bands. If you go to readinghalfmarathontraining.co.uk, that's my website, and you can you just put your email address in. I'll send you a printable pace band between 1:30 and 2:25. They're the times that we accommodate, and I will be there on the stage doing the warm-up as well. I hope to see as many of you as possible. Make sure you join in with the warm-up. It's a lot of fun, and I really do wish you the best of luck with the last few days of preparation and on the day itself. Thanks very much. Bye for now.